Every day, it feels like more and more CEOs are coming out with more and more just explicit acknowledgments that jobs are going away to be replaced by AI. And it doesn't seem like there are basically any politicians who are focusing on that threat that is just getting closer every day. Not closer, people are already losing their jobs. But there is one guy who has been talking about it. And recently, Bernie Sanders went on the Joe Rogan podcast to talk about what we need to do to make sure that workers aren't left behind as AI becomes more and more normalized. Take a look.
What I worry about right now is I think artificial intelligence is going to displace millions and millions of workers. People are going to be thrown out on the streets. I think the corporate guys who are running these companies could care less about these workers. I think robotics is going to be running a lot of the factories in America. And I think these are issues we just have got to address in a bold way. With all of this technology, we got to be thinking seriously about lowering the number of hours that people work.
Yes.
You know how many people, zillions of people in this country don't work 40 hours a week. They're working 50, 60 hours a week. That's insane. So we can say all of this increased worker productivity, guess what? I don't know what the number is. We're going to work on a 4-day work week with no loss of pay.
And he's saying that, and when you think about that, it seems like the most obvious thing in the world. I mean, if this AI is supposed to replace work, make us more efficient, why wouldn't we be able to work less? But because you're a savvy person who's existed in modern capitalist societies, that's never how it willingly happens. The CEOs are never like, well, you're doing such a good job, and now you have Google Docs and you have Excel, and so you don't need to work as many hours. They still grind you out as much as possible. The only end result from the technology is that there's few of you needed to do the jobs. And so what Bernie is pointing out there is totally reasonable, but it will never happen unless it is mandated. They're never willingly going to give us this utopia or whatever, or even just a status quo that doesn't, as producer Mike points out, grind you down or whatever. But we could have it. You could have laws that require companies to not downsize to be replaced by AI, or to do a variety of different things for those who have been replaced, to provide severance or to provide a universal basic income. We do not need to simply surrender in the face of AI and just say what comes. And maybe it's an apocalypse, we'll find out. No, we can protect people. We have that. These companies are apparently generating tons of money off of all of this. Well, let's make sure that a significant percentage of that goes into making sure that everybody who's losing jobs and losing opportunities as a result of this is made whole. And go to graphic 3, you'll see the gap between productivity and like our compensation, what we're getting out of the added productivity has been diverging more and more for a long time. And so, look, AI is a new thing, but it's kind of like the culmination of everything we've seen over the last 50 years as technology has been taking over more and more of the work, but really only to the benefit of those who own these corporations. And is it any wonder that that's kind of along the timeline of their ability to influence politicians through donations? They, prior to the 60s, weren't as capable of doing that. And so if we change the laws on campaign finance, if we change the laws on universal basic income, we don't have to face a future where millions of people lose their jobs and are just left behind. And I'm glad that we have at least one politician talking seriously about it, Sharon. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Bernie, again, it's going to take all of us banding together to get this done, because the few billionaires who are on track, at least a couple of them, to become trillionaires, won't that be exciting? How does that benefit us? They will make sure that there are no new laws. I can hear them now saying, we don't trickle down economics. We don't need all this regulation and rules and laws. As things do better for this company, we'll do better by workers. And it's a lie, okay? Workers will be shaking tin cans saying, help me please, we're wearing sandwich boards. Please, I just need a sandwich. And they won't care. They don't care. That's why Bernie Sanders is right. We need these baseline protections. Otherwise, the difference between living check to check and being able to, reasonably feed yourself and get some health care and being out on the street. It's not, people know. It's like the difference is this much. You're screwed.
Yeah, and I wish MAGA would acknowledge that, like, the guys who own all of the companies making these AI models
Come on.
They're all standing behind Donald Trump at his inauguration. They're all donors there, and they're making money off this. They're getting those DOD contracts and everything. You think Donald Trump is going to regulate them? You think Donald Trump is going to raise their taxes? No. He's not going to protect you from this. You are on your own. We need to put someone in power who actually cares. Honestly, Bernie should just run in 2028. He could still do it.
Why not?
He's old as hell, but he was old as hell last time. What's the difference? He still understands the current era better than anyone else potentially. And so, look, I would love for it to be AOC. If it's not AOC, let's just do one more Bernie, whatever.
Why not?
If Harrison Ford can be Indiana Jones, can Bernie not be president? Come on.